Hey guys, NJ675 here, and today I will be doing a review of the 75269 Duel on Mustafar LEGO Star Wars set. This is a new set for winter of 2020 for the LEGO Star Wars line. It contains 208 pieces and retails for $19.99. And before I get into this review, I think it is worth mentioning that I did pick up this set on pre-release at Legoland, California, so that is how I got it, and I'm filming this review before the new year, but this will come out after the new year. So without further ado, and with that said, let's get into the review. As far as the box goes, it is a little bit bent up due to how I got it here, from taking it from Legoland, California, and moving it here, so that is why it is damaged. That's on me. The box opens with this thumb tab here, which is very, very handy, kind of usual for these kinds of sizes of sets, but overall, nothing really unusual to point out about the box of this set. Included in the set is the box, the instruction manual, and 2 numbered bags of pieces. As far as the instructions for this set are concerned, they are a bit unusual in how they are bound. As you can see, they are bound like this so that you open them this way. That's a little bit on the weird side, and really the only other unusual thing I noticed is that they have a new warning logo right here for don't shoot stuff at your eyes or whatever. But other than that, these are pretty standard instructions, a little bit weirdly bound, and that is kind of unusual, and that makes it a bit harder for me to store it, so I don't really like that too much, but other than that, the instructions for this set do not have any particular problems. Here's the build from this set. As you can see, it is a little Mustafar Duel kind of play set thing we've got going on here, and there are quite a few different play features in this build, so let's take a look at those. But first, as far as the overall appearance of this thing goes, obviously all this red stuff is supposed to be lava, so I don't think it looks too good in that respect. I think they should have used a lot more transparent orange tiles and bricks and other parts, which they have done in some areas throughout the build, as you can see, but you know, overall that doesn't look too good. But other than that, I think that the rocks and such do look nice. The lava just is a bit too much red and yellow and other such pieces. It just looks a little off-putting to me. Maybe a bit more transparent orange would have fixed this set right up nicely. Yeah, let's take a look at the play features of this set, the first of which you can see right back up here. As you can see, there's this part right here, and basically what the set says you can do with it is you can do that. And if you haven't noticed, that is not accurate to the movie at all. When Anakin and Obi-Wan are dueling on here, the thing collapses downwards. So you can get it to collapse downwards a little bit, but what you've got to do is you've got to move this out of the way because this is on a hinge, and that's as far as it goes because it hits the slope of this brick right here, and it can't collapse any further, which is unfortunate, but you won't knock over the fire piece under here while doing that, so I guess that's alright. And it is worth noting that these things are on hinges, so you can rotate them as such. Not necessarily movie accurate, but you can do that. So really the only motion you have is you can go pretty much 180 degrees backwards and forwards, and then you can come down a little bit. So this is a little bit disappointing. It's not very movie accurate. I do think they did a decent job getting at least the top part of this thing to look good. I don't know why this is transparent orange. I think it's supposed to represent the sort of shielding this has against the lava, but even then I think it would have just been better to represent this as a black piece. So, you know, I don't really know what's going on there, but that is that feature. And as you can see, it's built into this rock thing here, which I think is one of the better looking parts of this set. And if you really wanted to, I guess maybe you could try to use this as the high ground, but it's not really meant for that. So, yeah, we'll talk about the high ground in the conclusion of this review. So, moving on to the next major feature here, and we'll talk about, again, that feature later. I just accidentally pushed that in. Is that this thing, as you can see, is on a hinge right here, so you can unclip it right there, bar and clip right there, bar and clip on the front here, so you can fold it like this to better store it, or you just have them dueling a bit more like this, or you can have it splayed out in just a straight line like we had it earlier, or you can have it somewhere in the middle. So I like that they have given this option here. It's pretty nice to just, you know, kind of have these guys either for display or just to make it a bit smaller to store it. So overall, I think that's a good feature here. It is, of course, all those parts are red and they are a bit uncovered. But other than that, I think that this overall has done a pretty good job here. So now we'll move on to probably the main feature of this set, which I personally think works a bit better when you have it in this position, so that is how we will put it right here. So as you can see here, we do have these 2 little things here, and these are on rails so they can slide throughout the little lava area here, And if you don't know what these are the little lava platforms that Obi-Wan and Anakin duel on. So this is the dual part of the set. You can set up Obi-Wan on his platform, and of course you can set up Anakin on his little droid as well. And then these things do have rotation, 360 degrees of rotation on each of these things. As you can see here, you can rotate these things around quite a good amount. Yeah, so there you go. You can see that it all works out. So you can rotate these things, and on the back they do have these little exposed toe hitch pieces right here, which are where you're supposed to grab to kind of make these two figures duel. So you can play duel with these two guys, and you can of course do that. The one thing about this though is that you can get hung up a bit, as you can see here on these guys, so not the best thing ever, but it definitely does work. And of course if you don't like it here, you can splay things out a bit more, you know, maybe have it somewhere kind of neutrally in the middle and then just duel them like this. You know, that works quite well as well. The only other complaint I really have about this is one, the red platforms here. They do make it look like the lava's a bit higher than it obviously is. And I mean, these things are supposed to be levitating above the lava, so I don't know. Maybe it makes sense, but you know, it doesn't really. And then secondly, Anakin is a lot higher up than Obi-Wan is, so it makes the duel kind of awkward. You can get him to lean in a bit more, of course, but even then it's just a little bit awkward. And of course you can, if you don't have him secured very well, you can just hit him off, which, you know, is kind of cool. So I mean, maybe that's a plus, maybe that's a negative, depends on how you look at it. Then kind of the last major feature of this build here we can see right here. As you can see, there are 3 of these transparent orange studs down here, and basically what you're supposed to do with this is when you have them dueling and such, as they are, you know, they're just kind of dueling right here. If you want to get some lava kind of spraying up at them, you just push this thing in, preferably a little bit faster than that, and now that's on my floor somewhere, so I'll go grab that in a second, but basically you just push that really hard and it sprays lava everywhere. Sometimes it works well, but most of the time, from what I've found, it's just good at losing the studs. So yeah, I don't even know where the third one went. I will go look for it after this segment, but those are the main features for this set as far as play goes. Really, the only other thing I have to point out as far as this set goes, besides what I've already said, is that these flame pieces, while they do look nice, at least the one back there is really easy to knock over for whatever reason, so, you know, that's kind of a con in my book. It's just really easy to knock those down. But other than that, obviously there are some things that could be improved about this set, like just the overall appearance of it, versus, you know, this not really working as it's supposed to. But there are some good things as well, like this dual platform I think is nice, and, you know, this printed tile is nice as well. So, you know, overall I think they've done at least a decent job of representing the duel here, and we'll talk about how this compares to the past duel set in the conclusion. But, you know, for what it is, I don't think they've done too terrible of a job here, but it's definitely not anything particularly great either. So now let's take a look at the minifigures included in this set. These are the 2 minifigures included in the set. As you can see, on the left we have Obi-Wan Kenobi, and on the right we have Anakin Skywalker. So these are the only figures you get in this set, and these are some updated Episode 3 versions of these 2 figures. So as far as they go, they both have leg printing, which I think suits both the figures quite well. No complaints there. And the torso printing does look quite nice overall. You can see a bit of wear on those robes, and I think overall I think they've done a good job here. I think they've really communicated a lot of the wear and such on these robes pretty well, with the brown markings on both of them showing kind of whatever's underneath. So I think that they've done a good job there. As far as the hair goes, Anakin has the same hair he's always had, and Obi-Wan has this hair piece in this dark orange. So, you know, I think they've done a good job with the hair as well. There probably are some better hair pieces to represent Anakin's hair, but I think that it's fine to stick with the old one. So as far as heads go, you do have some face printing on both of these guys, of course. You can see here on the front, Obi-Wan's head print is more of a concerned head print, and Anakin is more of an indifferent head print. And then looking at the back, we have kind of a determined or angry Obi-Wan face and a really crazy Anakin sort of Sith Lord face, which is quite angry and has those crazy Sith eyes going. So that's what's going on there. As far as the lightsabers, though, this isn't something I would usually touch on for the most part, but there are some different things about the lightsabers in this set. Both of them are blue, and as far as these go, the blades are both pretty nice. They are transparent, light blue, of course, but there are no bubbles in either of them, which is something I've begun to notice with some of the newer blades, is that they don't have the bubbles in them anymore, which is nice because it's a bit more of an accurate representation of what lightsabers actually look like. And as far as the hilts go, well, I think that they are actually quite nice. For whatever reason, they have improved since last year. And as you can see now, they are definitely a bit more silvery, and they do look quite a lot better. You can see kind of that reflection going on in Obi-Wan's hilt. Overall, I think that they've done a nice job improving the lightsabers on these figures, and hopefully these improvements will continue to show up in future Jedi and the coming sets for this year. But overall, as far as the figures go, there definitely could be some changes that didn't happen here, like giving Anakin a different hairpiece, but I think overall they've done quite a good job updating these two figures for the modern sort of Star Wars set lineup of sets and figures. So overall, I do not have any particular complaints about these figures. So now that we've taken a look at them, let's talk about the whole set and kind of conclude this review with my final thoughts. So now that we've taken a look at this set, it is time for my final thoughts and conclusion of this review. So as far as the box instructions go, there's nothing particularly wrong with the box. The instructions are bound in a little bit of an unusual way, which I don't particularly like, but other than that, there aren't really any problems with that. They have updated a lot of the sort of logos, like the "don't shoot stuff at your eyes" warning and the rotation logo, if I didn't point that one out in the instructions because I didn't notice it until building it. But, you know, they've done some nice changes, but I think the instructions are just a little bit too weird for me. Other than the binding, though, no particular problems with those. And as far as the figures go, I think they've done a nice update to these guys for making them more fit with the 2020 Star Wars standards. So, again, not really any complaints there. There could have definitely been some different changes than what they've decided to go with, but I think they've done a good job here. And as far as the build of this set goes, I think that overall the build is probably the single weakest part of this entire set. The black rock and the transparent orange look good together for the rock and lava, but unfortunately that's not really an aesthetic carried out throughout most of this set. They used red and yellow and orange for lava in most of the places instead of the transparent orange they've got going places like right here, which I think looks really good. Also there's this blue pin which doesn't look too nice. But really overall I think that they had some good intentions going here. You know, they've got some good themes and patterns going on with stuff like this, but they completely take it out for a lot of the red and stuff that is seen throughout the build, and I think overall that part just looks pretty bad, and I don't really like it. So, you know, as far as that goes, you know, I think they tried. They definitely did try, and they did do some decent work, but I think overall it's just overshadowed by a lot of the stuff that doesn't look too particularly good about this set. As far as the play features go, of course, you do have the dueling feature, which I think, you know, for what they've done here, it does work nicely. You have the little lava spraying feature, which when it works well, it works quite nicely, but it doesn't work well often, and it's a really nice way to lose studs, so don't really like that play feature too much. And of course, this play feature in particular, doesn't even work in a way that is canon to the film, so I've got to knock it there as well. Don't particularly like this. I like how it looks except for this part here, but I don't like how it operates. And then of course you do have the hinge, which allows you to reposition the set in different ways, whether it's for storage, display, or play, or whatever you want to do with it. I think that was a good choice here, and I do like that they've included that. It definitely does make this set a whole lot nicer overall, in my opinion, as a result. But really, the main part of this set that shines overall as far as features go is the dueling feature, which when it works quite well, and I don't really have too many complaints about it either. There is a bit of a limited range of motion with just what's around them, and of course the tracks. But, you know, for what it is, I think that they have done a pretty decent job on the dueling feature. There's not really too much I can complain about there, and of course that's the main point of the set, so I can't really knock it too hard. It definitely does work, and it is fun to play with. As far as this set comparing to past Mustafar Duel depictions, of course, unfortunately I do not have the 2005 one to compare this to, and the Anakin's Jedi Starfighter, the dark green version, only really has these two platforms, so not really much to compare it to either. But I definitely do think that this set is a step down in comparison to the 2005 edition of this set. Neither set includes the high ground, which makes them both infinitely worse, and that was something I was really hoping we would get with this set. I really wanted to see the high ground in a Lego set, so, you know, maybe that'll be something that has to be modified in at some point. You know, maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. we'll see what happens after this review. But these sets definitely both do suffer from missing the high ground, which, for better or for worse, and totally because of the meme, is probably the single most well-known part of this entire scene. So why it isn't here, I don't know, but it definitely loses points in my book for that. Come to think of it, it's probably not here because Anakin literally gets chopped in half, and I'm not giving a spoiler warning because the movie is way more than 10 years old at this point, so anyone who wants to see it has probably already seen it, so that's just kind of how the ball goes. But really, as far as this set goes, as far as value is concerned, this is a $20 set containing 208 pieces and 2 figures. So as far as the retail price, this definitely is worth the money. I think that this set would really do well at a $17 price point, or maybe even a $15 price point, because even though the pieces may say that this is a $20 set, I don't really think this feels like a $20 set. I think this more feels like something between $15 and $20. So somewhere in that range is where I would like to pay for this set. But if you see this set at the retail price and you want to pick it up, it's definitely not a bad offer. And especially because the 2005 version of the set is probably way more expensive online and was a much larger set. So, you know, if you want to get a Mustafar Duel just for the figures, this is not a bad set to pick up because these are some nice figures. But if you're looking for a duel set to kind of play with, unless you want this particular jousting feature, I'd probably look to a different set. I think there's only really been a few duel sets recently. Of course, 2017 we had the Naboo Duel, which, while it doesn't look particularly good, I think that was kind of well executed, and, you know, it was a fun set. Kind of like this, it just didn't look very good. This one I think looks definitely worse, though, for what it's trying to depict. And there's the Starkiller Base Duel, which I think looks much better, but doesn't really have any play features, really, to speak of that are really anything on the scale of this set. So, you know, depending on what you want in a duel set, you know, you can pick up whichever duel set you like. But if you're looking for this thing and you see it for the retail price, you know, it's not a bad buy. Overall, I think if really the only point you'd buy this thing for are the figures, though, because while the build, it does represent, you know, most of the duel, it definitely does not do a very good job of doing that, and I think it's definitely a step down from the past builds that have represented this scene in LEGO Star Wars. So that will wrap up this review. Somehow let me know what you think of this set if you want to. You can follow me on Twitter at MJ635, where I will probably have tweeted out this video. So, of course, if you want to let me know any feedback, you can do so over there. And just overall, if you have any video feedback, I'm going to start pointing people that direction, because I don't believe that most of the videos on my channel will have comment sections anymore due to recent YouTube changes, which is unfortunate, but that's kind of how it goes. So, yeah, if you are interested in watching a speed build and seeing the extra parts included in this set, that is where this review will be going after the conclusion of this segment. But if you're not interested in that, thanks so much for watching. You know, engage with the video if you can, if you enjoyed it. And of course, if possible, subscribe, because I don't really know what's going to happen yet. Because, again, I'm filming this before, so we'll see what happens as far as all these changes go. But, you know, if you enjoyed this, great. I liked it, you enjoyed it, and I'm happy you enjoyed it. You know, if you can, engage with the video, let me know you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. If not, I don't know, we'll have to figure out what's going on with all this stuff when it all happens. But that will wrap up this review. Thanks everybody so much for watching. If you're interested in the speed build and the extra parts, that's where we're going next. So if you're not going to be sticking around with us, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. But for those who are interested in that speed build and such, that's where we're going right now. the extra pieces included in this set. Out of these, the ones that stand out to me are the lightsaber hilt, this printed 1x1 tile, and this ice skate. Other than that, though, all of these are pretty nice extra pieces overall. As far as the building experience goes, I did find it to be quite enjoyable. It was definitely not a boring building experience, and there were some interesting new pieces in this set as well that were nice to see and build with for at least for me, the first time. So that about wraps up this review. If you guys like this review, you know, I don't know what you can do yet, but do something if you can. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on with how all this stuff is going to pan out yet. I'm filming this before any of it happens. So, yeah, that is pretty much the review. Thanks everybody so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.